Good evening, I'm Mark Adam, head dummy. I'm your tour guide tonight to the place Americans call up there, and a place the British call, we almost kept you but the snow was too much. Welcome to Last Week Above the 49th, the show where even our scandals come with a very polite, sorry for the mess. If you missed last week's episode, go check it out. And then come back, because, let's face it, politics up here never slows down, it just freezes between scandals. Let's get into it. Folks, in Ottawa this week, it was less Game of Thrones and more Game of Votes. Prime Minister Mark Carney's Liberals survived 2 confidence votes in 2 days, just barely squeaking by, like a moose tiptoeing past a sleeping bear. So here's what you need to know, in reverse order, because it's more fun. Second confidence vote. The Bloc Québécois tried to bring down the budget by proposing an amendment to outright reject it. The NDP and the Greens joined the Bloc, but check this out. Both the Liberals and the Conservatives voted no with gusto, crushing the motion 307 to 30. So yes, Liberals and Conservatives voting together, cats and dogs living together. It's anarchy out here. Okay, calm down. Sorry, you're an adult. First confidence vote the night before, Conservatives tried to sink the budget with their own sub-amendment demanding more pipelines and a lower deficit. But in that round, the Liberals, Bloc, NDP, and Greens teamed up to torpedo Tory ambitions and keep the budget afloat. You could see the confusion. Even the historic portraits on the wall looked like they were facepalmed. So why so tense? Mark Carney's Liberals are running a minority with 170 seats, just 2 short of a majority. Meaning if they lose the confidence of the House, we get a surprise election, and nobody wants to campaign in November unless there's free thermal underwear. The right thinks this budget stinks. The only thing it invests in is more deficit and less sanity. The left says we may not love Carney's fiscal plan, but between an election and more debate, we'll take more debate. At least the popcorn's cheaper. I think the real reason MPs voted no on defeat, the NDP, Bloc, and Greens weren't voting for Carney. They were voting against having to campaign through a Winnipeg winter. And that's enough to make anyone rethink their principles, honestly. If confidence votes were a sport, Carney's cabinet would be the curling team, scraping by, setting up guards, and praying someone else messes up their sweep. That one probably lost the Americans that were watching, huh? Yeah. Conservative caucus chaos. Welcome to The Purge, House of Commons edition. These days, Pierre Poilievre's office doors are revolving faster than a Tim Hortons at rush hour. This week, not 1 but 2 Conservative MPs bailed. Matt Généroux pieced out to spend more time with his family, which is politics speak for I'm tired of pretending I like question period. And Nova Scotia's Chris d'Entremont simply crossed the floor and joined the Liberals. Sources say it was either that or be forced to listen to Pierre Poilievre's motivational mixtape. It's like the Conservative caucus is competing on Survivor, except instead of getting voted off, you just walk away and never come back. Généroux's resignation hit Parliament just as Poilievre was prepping to roast Mark Carney's budget. Instead, Pierre found himself trying to herd his own MPs, like cats, on roller skates during an earthquake. There are rumors that Généroux was going to cross the aisle and join the Liberals, but that he was threatened by some of his fellow Conservative MPs, the source for which seems to be other Conservative MPs. The Conservative House leader, Andrew Scheer, blamed Liberal pressure. Rumors swirled that Liberals were holding an Ottawa midnight sale on MLA soul saving. Scheer even accused Liberals of pestering MPs in elevators. The only thing worse would be pestering them in Parliament Hill's cafeteria line, where loyalty is tested over lukewarm soup. The right says this is nothing. The media is just stirring things up. We're united, sort of. The left is taking delight in it. When your only budget challenge is getting your own MPs to show up, it's going to be a rough winter for Pierre. Every Conservative MP passing through Parliament this week is like a student giving the professor a doctor's note that just says, nope, Pierre's office is now sponsored by Advil, by the way. If Poilievre's caucus were a curling team, half would be sweeping the wrong way, and the rest would be trying out for ice dancing. Are there any Americans left? No? So what does it mean? The Conservative Party's unity is shakier than a Jays lead in the 9th inning. Is it too soon? I hurt my own feelings there. Poilievre faces a leadership review in January, and he's already prepping his It's Fine mug collection. The Liberals couldn't script better plot twists if they hired Schitt's Creek's writers. Conservatives, united in theory, divided in practice, and starring in their own spin-off, 2 MPs and a liberal pizza place. Stay tuned, the next episode might feature actual musical chairs. This week, Canada revealed a federal deficit so epic it got its own gravitational pull, $78.3 billion. This budget hole's so massive it's technically Canada's newest Great Lake. Call it lake account overdrawn. So how did we get here? The Liberals billed their 2025 budget as generational investment, but some folks said calling it that was like calling a payday loan a retirement plan. The deficit was supposed to be $42 billion. It rolled in at almost double. It's like budgeting for 2 coffees at Timmy's and then walking out with 6 extra double doubles and 5 Timbits you didn't order, and suddenly you're down $36 billion. That happens to the best of us. Over the next 5 years, the plan is for the deficit to slowly shrink to a still massive $57 billion by 2029. The only thing shrinking faster is Pierre Poilievre's patience. So where is all the money going exactly? Over $141 billion in new spending. So housing, military, infrastructure, productivity, Arctic infrastructure, and even a few billion earmarked for trade diversification corridors, which sounds suspiciously like a marketing scheme for exporting maple syrup internationally. Defense is a huge chunk, $82 billion over 5 years, enough to get Canada to NATO's 2% target, or at least enough to finally order matching outfits for all the Arctic Rangers. $25 billion for affordable housing and a new Build Canada Homes agency. Good news for renters, the GST on homes is gone as long as you only want one. On the right, the feeling is that liberal budgeting is like letting your toddler play with your credit card. Fun in the moment, but now we're financing snack time for the next 7 generations. Poilievre called it the largest ever deficit. He's so mad he might actually sweat out some of those hair products. The left says that big, bold investment in infrastructure, housing, and defense is supposed to jumpstart the economy and curb inflation. Middle-class families get tax cuts, but critics say it won't plug the holes for renters or folks facing food inflation. Economists warn borrowing at this rate means big interest charges and tough choices ahead. Tax hikes, spending cuts, or both. It's basically the government telling us, pick 2. Your wallet, your sanity, or your future prosperity. But you can't have all 3. If this budget were a Canadian winter, it'd be the 4th blizzard of March. Just when you thought things might actually thaw, surprise, you can't find your hope. Or your shovel. Budget math this year makes your aunt's pyramid scheme look like a sound investment. The government spent so much, Parliament Hill started accepting air miles. So what does this mean? The deficit is huge, almost historic, spending is ambitious, and some say reckless, and affordability reforms are promised, but the long-term pain might be epic. If MPs really want to make generational investments, maybe start by investing in budgeting software, and preferably something with an "Are you sure?" button? This week, the Canada-U.S. trade saga reached new heights. Trump slapped Canadian steel and aluminum with tariffs so steep, if you tried to climb them, you need a Sherpa, a motivational podcast, and a government bailout. Canada's manufacturers, they're sweating harder than Pierre Poilievre trying to answer questions without blaming Trudeau. U.S. tariffs jumped to 50% on metals, which is about as welcome in Canada as American bacon is at a Tim Hortons breakfast. It's not real bacon, or trade policy. So why the drama? Really quickly, because I know we already covered this, but Trump got peeved over an anti-tariff ad starring Ronald Reagan. Carney had to apologize, but Trump still cratered the talks. So now, every Canadian manufacturer is waking up, checking in the exchange rate, and realizing that their best hope is probably selling maple syrup to Denmark. Trade talks are paused, which we all know in politics means maybe after both sides win their next election, get a fresh haircut, and forget what a tariff is. So what is affected exactly? Steel, aluminum, autos, even some maple syrup, basically anything with a Canada goose on the box. Canada kept counter tariffs only on key sectors, hoping Trump would eventually get bored and start binge-watching Schitt's Creek instead of tariff news. New budget measures are helping affected industries though. Immediate expensing of machinery, gadgets, and buildings, plus billions pumped into trade diversification corridors, which sounds exciting but mostly helps smaller manufacturers compete outside the USA. So congrats Europe, you might finally get that made in Brantford cheese grater. The right says we need real negotiation. Budget won't fix jobs lost to tariffs, maybe use that deficit to buy a subscription to How to Negotiate with Americans. The left says this trade war has been a masterclass in petty politics, and at this rate, Trump will tariff snow next, and Carney will probably respond by sending him 10,000 cards that read, "Sorry, eh?" Political strategy right now is less draw to the button and more throw stones and hope for a miracle. Yeah, was that the last American leaving there? Yeah, fair enough. Tariffs are up, trade talks are down, and Canada's aluminum producers are left wondering if their next export will be souvenirs for the Toronto Raptors, since apparently no one else is buying. So what does it mean? Canadian manufacturers face serious pain, but the budget throws them a life raft. Trade talks may resume, but don't hold your breath, unless you work in a steel mill. The air is already thick enough. If you own an aluminum canoe, congratulate yourself. It just doubled in value. Canada's trade standoff. Proof that in politics there's always a lot of sweeping, but not much actually gets cleaned up. Hurry hard, cause someone's gotta call the next shot. Okay, I promise I'm done with the curling jokes. It's time for our feature story tonight, Canada's rising national unity, which it turns out is mostly just everyone agreeing to be broke together. So of course we're talking about the cost of living crisis. Think about it. Polls show 47% of Canadians actually feel more unified under Carney, and that's, well, almost half, which means as a country, we're finally united in sharing the same sad look when asked about grocery prices. Honestly, these days, national unity is held together by the same stuff as our cheapest apartment walls, collective anxiety and off-brand duct tape. You'd think people might be pleased. After all, bread's still bread and air's still free, unless Doug Ford starts auctioning that off next week. But if you actually ask folks, the number one thing binding us together isn't love for government, it's pain at the checkout. Canadians rate cost of groceries as our top source of misery, second only to every leaf season since 1967. Why do people keep cheering for that? The fancy new Build Canada Homes Agency? Great idea, until you realize the cavalry's stuck in GTA traffic. And while the National School Food Program expands, guess what's actually growing faster? Rent. And the feeling you should have bought Bitcoin in 2011. When it comes to the government's big promises, Canadians give affordability a D+, military investments a C-, and the only A goes to waiting in line in Service Canada, at least if you want time to think about your life decisions. Unity in 2025 is like a bag of Canadian milk. It's lumpy, it's awkward, and it hasn't burst. Yet? And sure, nearly 2/3 now support higher defense spending, maybe because at this point Canadians would like to see anything delivered on time for once, even if it's just tanks and not transit. So here's where we stand. Canadians are more together than a 3-bedroom apartment split 6 ways, but we're also united in our advent calendar approach to affordable groceries. Every day you just open the cupboard, hope for the best, and pray someone left a can of chickpeas. So yes, national unity's up, but mostly because complaining about rent, groceries, and the government never goes out of style. It's Canada's real Official Languages Act, really. Everyone can speak fluent sticker shock. Alright, let's wrap up on an issue so fraught even Canadian bureaucrats are sweating through their Lululemons. Foreign aid. Both the Conservatives and Liberals shocked the international development world this round, just not in the same way. The Carney Liberals announced $2.7 billion in foreign aid cuts over 4 years, and promptly got roasted by nearly every aid group in the country. Cuts will shrink support for global health and international institutions, with big plastic-wrapped question marks about where exactly the axe will fall. Critics say Canada is retreating from leadership just as poorer countries are battered by wars, disasters, and the kind of food prices that make no-name beans feel fancy. Ottawa's spin? We're using innovative tools, focusing on the countries that need it most. And that's what you call emptying the cookie jar and crowning the last ginger snap winner. The Conservatives promise even deeper cuts if they win, $9.4 billion to hostile regimes and global bureaucracies. Their platform names Russia, Iran, and Venezuela, but those countries don't even get Canadian aid to begin with. It's like canceling your Blockbuster card in 2025. Most of the global bureaucracy cuts, they call out the UN Relief Agency, UNRWA, and the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. Total, about $25 million a year, not the billions they're touting, and the rest? No one's really sure. Instead, Conservatives say they'd spend savings on Canadian priorities, which apparently means military bases and tax cuts for people already drowning in T4 slips. So that means for most citizens, the aid debate is basically this. We're saving billions by not telling you where the billions were going in the first place. It's like selling your snowblower in July and telling your neighbors you'll reinvest the proceeds in mittens. The left called this an abandonment of vulnerable children. Health programs are already bracing for shortfalls. The right says charity should start at home. And anyway, if we're gonna slash services, might as well do it to people who can't vote in our elections. If you think the debate's confusing at home, try explaining it at the next G20 summit. The only thing more unclear than Canada's foreign aid plan is, well, Canada's plan for fixing the cost of living. Canada's new foreign aid policy. Now you see it, now you don't. It's the David Copperfield of budget moves, really, minus the applause, and with a lot more people left in the dark. That's it for last week above the 49th. If you laughed even once, consider yourself one of us dummies. And remember, in Canadian politics, the question isn't what happened, it's how politely we lie about it. See you in the next video, dummies.